We're going to start by making a slip knot. And we'll be placing it right by our anchor peg to the right. Go ahead and tighten it up. And we're going to do the E-wrap cast on. The E-wrap cast on is making tiny little E's all the way around the loom. It's very simple and easy for beginners. Now we're going on our second row. So again, you make another set of tiny little E's. And I'm just trying to push my yarn down that I made the slip knot on to hide it. And you follow all the way around until you get back to the anchor peg. Then we're going to take our yarn hook and take the bottom over the top, bottom over the top. For each one, we're going to make one row of the E-wrap stitch all the way around. Whoops! Sometimes your pegs come out. Usually you can use some glue, and that usually works in keeping them in. Okay, now we're going to push this down. And now we're going to knit back and forth, doing the E-wrap stitch again. Instead of doing a full circle, we're going to stop here, take our bottom yarn and pull it over the top, just like before. Okay, then we stop, because again we're not going to do a full circle. So we push this down, and now we're going to take our working yarn and go the other way. So we're going to work back and forth for 17 rows.
It's 2 o'clock.
And again, we're going to knit over, taking the bottom yarn, bottom stitch, and putting it over the top all the way around. When you start your next row, you'll use that first stitch as a turning peg. So you're not going to wrap it. Again, do each one bottom over the top. And push that down. Now if you see how I do this, I'm going to go the other way and see how I'm wrapping the yarn on top, using it as a turning peg, and then making my little E's. You want to do that each time you go back and forth. Each time you start your next row, you'll use that as a turning peg. You'll use that first peg as a turning peg. We're going to do this for 17 rows, going back and forth, remembering to stop right at the anchor peg and go the other way, using that first peg as a turning peg, And when you're done with 17 rows, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've done my 17 rows going back and forth, and this is how it's developing. Now we're going to wrap back and forth, doing the E-wrap stitch. And we're going to continue. So we're going to do, instead of going back and forth, we're going to continue knitting in the round. We're going to do this for 12 more rows. So do 12 rows of E-wrap. Once you start knitting in the round, you do that 12 times. So keep count with your stitch counter or write it down. And then we'll go to our next step. Okay, now it's time for us to take our slipper off of the loom. So we're going to use what's called the gathering method. So I'm going to take my working yarn and I wrapped it the complete way around the loom, covering each peg. I want to make sure that I have enough yarn to be able to get it off the loom. If I'm short, then I won't be able to get it all off. So that's a good way that I do that. And then we're going to thread our darning needle and start with the first peg and just slip it through the yarn, pointing up. The needle should be pointing up. And then just remove each piece, each stitch off the loom. And again, we just go peg by peg. If you have any problems or questions with this, please leave me a comment below. But again, it is just putting the needle in and pulling it up. Trying to get a good angle, but it's just removing each loop from the peg. And this again is called the gathering method. So we keep working until we're done. We have 2 more. And we just slip that off the loom. Unravel your yarn and pull. Almost like if you've made the slipper sock, it's the same type of idea here. So I'm actually going to reach in and turn it inside out and close up the hole at the top. I'm going to feed my needle through the inside and close my hole at the top. I'm not going to make it overly tight, but I'm going to make it snug so the hole doesn't open with some wear. Okay, my toe is closed now. Now we're going to close up the heel. So I'm going to take a piece of yarn with my darning needle make a knot at the end, and just sew very carefully up through the heel, doing a stitch called the whip stitch, very similar to the whip stitch. Just each individual loop I put my needle through, not too tight but not too loose, but just enough to close that heel up. So I'm making my way up to the top, just closing that heel up. Okay, after I'm done stitching, I will take the ends and hide them in. And you can also add any accessory like a pom-pom or a bow to the top of the slipper. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll get back to you soon. Thanks for watching.